Hey viewers, welcome to another episode, and thanks for hanging out with me for the next few minutes. Okay, I know the Uganda story broke and probably has been talked to death since last week, Thursday, I think it was. But I want to give you my perspective because I think it's good. And it's not just my perspective. I got my perspective from other perspectives, so I'm going to kind of bring those in the mesh too, because I'm just one mind. And there's wisdom in counsel, right? So I'm going to bring that counsel in to the blog. All right. Okay, so we have Obama sending troops to Uganda to hold off the LRA, or the Lord's Resistance Army. If you don't know who or what they've done, or what they're doing, the LRA, go look it up because I don't have time to explain it. It would take forever. So just go look it up. The biggest argument I've heard is this. But we already have troops everywhere. We don't need to get involved in another war, conflict. Blah, blah, blah. The U.S. is the world police, and this is just another example of that. Look, I don't want to get into if the U.S. should send troops there or not. I will get into it a little bit. I'll dabble. But this isn't a debate on that. What I want to get into is how Obama set this up. Listen to the letter Mr. Obama wrote to Congress pertaining, or to Congress sending troops to Uganda. It's from the Mark Levin Show. So, thumbs up, Mark Levin, go.
Listen to this letter. Folks, I've been chief of staff to an attorney general. I've worked at the White House under Ronald Reagan. I have never seen a letter like this. He writes, Dear Mr. Speaker, for more than 2 decades, the Lord's Resistance Army, LRA, has murdered, raped, and kidnapped tens of thousands of men, women, and children in Central Africa. The LRA continues to commit atrocities across the Central African Republic, the Democratic Republic of the Congo, the South Sudan, that have a disproportionate impact on regional security. Since 2008, the United States has supported regional military efforts to pursue the LRA and protect local communities. Even with some limited U.S. assistance, regional military efforts have thus far been unsuccessful in removing LRA leader Joseph Kony or his top commanders from the battlefield. Now listen to that. That is now our objective as a nation. In the Lord's Resistance Army Disarmament and Northern Uganda Recovery Act of 2009, enacted May 24, 2010, the Congress also expressed support for increased comprehensive U.S. efforts to help mitigate and eliminate the threat posed by the LRA to civilians and regional stability. Let me stop there. Look how deceptive that is. They didn't authorize the use of armed forces in Africa. I'll go on. In furtherance of the Congress's stated policy, look how he twisted that. In furtherance of the Congress's stated policy, I have authorized a small number of combat-equipped U.S. forces to deploy to Central Africa to provide assistance to regional forces that are working toward the removal of Joseph Kony from the battlefield. I believe that deploying these U.S. armed forces furthers U.S. national security interests and foreign policy and will be a significant contribution toward counter-LRA efforts in Central Africa.
So that's it. That's all he did. He wrote a letter to Congress saying what he was going to do. This is another case of do what he wants itis. We have defunding DOMA, the Defense of Marriage Act. I've gone over that in a blog. We have the waivers. I've gone over that in a blog, which they overrule laws already put into place. And now we can put sending troops wherever he wants on the list. I don't think any other president has sent troops without the approval of Congress and the people. Did you hear the national security part? How was the LRA a threat to national security? Doesn't it strike you as strictly humanitarian? Okay, they're terrorists within their own nation, but not a particular threat to America. You know the other country that was considered a national threat? Iraq. What kind of hoops do we have to jump through for that one? Oh, but this is only 100 troops. Look, no other president has done this. Wait, what about Vietnam, you ask? Well, we were actually mandated to go as members of the UN Security Council. So the Congress Congress authorized spending for the war. And it was actually not until the Viet Cong bombed U.S. Air Base that LBJ sent in the big troops or everybody else. In fact, and the other one is, well, what about Iraq? Well, here's the easiest answer I can give you for that one. We've been there for 10 years. If we didn't have the approval, you can only do it for 90 days. That was the whole thing with Libya. Okay, I'm just going to give you, this is going to really make it easy. I'm just going to give you a brief history of our declaration of wars. Ready? Go! Okay, 5 occasions Congress has declared war. England, 1812. Mexico, 1846. Spain, 1898. World War I, World War II. And in each instance, Congress did so at the request of the president. And on at least 2 occasions, Congress has refused to declare war, despite the president's seeking declaration. 1815, President Madison wanted to go to war with Algiers. Didn't do it. 1999, by a tie vote of 213 to 213 in the House, they refused President Clinton to declare war in Yugoslavia for action in Kosovo. Now, from 1789 to 1950, presidents repeatedly engaged engaged in military hostilities, as using their powers as commander-in-chief. Yet, when doing so, they always sought congressional authority, even after the fact. Here's after the fact. What's that mean? Well, here's an example of that. The best example: President Abraham Lincoln. When did he declare war on the South, on the secessionists? Well, while Congress was in recess. So there was a crisis. He had to do it. But what people would forget is that he later got ratification from Congress when they came back in session. So do you think Obama's going to want to get ratification after the process? No, he wrote a letter saying, "Screw you." This is crazy. If this is indeed a national security threat, then why not make the case? If this is genocide, why not make the case? Are Americans heartless? Do I not care about what's happening in other countries? Do we want another Rwanda or Darfur? I don't get it. He's coming off the rails. And keep doing your research on this, because I think it's more dire than it seems. There's no other president that has done this. And how come we didn't hear about that? How come there wasn't, I don't know, rumors or talk or to me, I didn't even know this was happening until the report came out that he's sending them. I heard one caller on a radio station say that there were some they requested troops earlier in August. I never heard that. Maybe that's true. If you know any information before Obama sent the troops, go ahead and shoot me a message, DrakeKelly@gmail.com, or put a comment on there. Craziness, off the rails, off the hinges. Empowering you to take about this country. Thanks for watching. See you next time.
I'm the hunter.